Welcome back to Let's Eat. I want to take a moment to acknowledge that we have been officially in operation over here at Let's Eat. And when I say we, I mean me. I've been officially in operation. I have been in operation with Let's Eat for 6 months now, and it has been the best. I was about to say, I think that these family dinner episodes are going to be my favorite episodes. But then I was thinking about, but I really love interviewing people, and I love having guests, and I love being able to connect with them. And then I also love my more topic-focused episodes because that kind of keeps me narrowed in on one topic, and I can really expand on that specific topic. So I guess I really can't play any favorites here because every episode has been a lot of fun, and I hope that you've enjoyed the show for the past 6 months, and I look forward to the months and months and months and years and years and years to come. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for tuning in. And I just want to thank you for your continued support. It means everything to me, and I'm so excited for what's to come from here. It was such a surprise to find out how much I was actually going to love this platform. I think I went into this kind of blindly and I didn't really know what to expect, and I was a little intimidated by it, but now I'm so grateful that I've done it and that we're where we are now, and I just so look forward to what's to come. So thank you for coming to my table every single week and joining me. It has been such a pleasure, and I look forward to what's next. So for today's episode, it is our second official Let's Eat family dinner. And for those of you who might be new to Let's Eat or to family dinner episodes are once a month, and they are reserved for life updates, things that I'm loving lately in my wellness routine, whether that's a supplement, a trend, something I'm doing throughout my day that I'm noticing has a profound impact on how I'm feeling. And then a Q&A portion of the episode where I share questions I've gotten either from DMs or from clients, and I can share on these questions and give answers maybe at greater length. And they're typically from all areas and realms of health, so there's really no pattern or rhythm to them, which is kind of fun, right? Because instead of focusing specifically on nutrition or specifically on movement or whatever the case is, these are just random questions that I'm getting over the course of the month that may bring you value, or maybe you had curiosity about at some point, and so forth. So just as a future suggestion, or for anyone who might be interested or down the line if you have questions, always feel free to DM me and ask your question. I will definitely get back to you via DM. I'm not going to tell you, okay, just wait till the episode comes out, right? But I might feature your question. You'll remain anonymous, of course, but out of the questions that I get over the course of the month, I draw from ones that I think are most interesting or maybe most relevant, or I think others might benefit from the answer. And, I'll be able to explore it a little bit greater, through the episode. So that's always an option too. And if any point you have questions, please feel free to message me. And I'm really excited. So let's dive in. Welcome to my table. Let's eat. Welcome to Let's Eat. I'm your host, Emily, holistic health coach and self-proclaimed wellness enthusiast, here to meet you at the intersection of physical and mental health, the exact location where optimal wellness lies. This podcast is meant to explore all areas of mind and body wellness, designed to offer you the integrative knowledge, behavioral strategies, and mindset shifts necessary to uplevel your health and feel better today. We'll explore nutrition, sleep, movement, self-care and stress management, habits and routines, gut health, mental health, and more. I am so happy that you're here. Welcome to the table. Let's eat. So, as we welcome August, we are also welcoming National Wellness Month. And today, upon release, is day 1 of my National Wellness Month challenge. You can still participate if you're interested in joining us. You can still register. I'm kind of leaving it up to this kind of open rolling registration just because it's free and it's up to you in terms of when you want to start, how you want to use this challenge. But to sum it up, I hosted a challenge last August during National Wellness Month, And it was a free 4-week challenge where I gave you tasks essentially over the course of the month of August from week to week to implement, to challenge yourself with, both relevant to physical and mental wellness. And you essentially build from week to week on the habits that you integrate from the week before. And I thought this was so much fun. A lot of my clients did it. It was just a lot of fun. There's really limited accountability, right? No one's holding you to anything. And really it's up to you to decide, all right, am I going to put myself, all into this? Or am I, is it just going to be something I consider or I try or whatever the case is, right? So it's not meant to be stressful. That's obviously the least of my intentions. I did add on an accountability add-on this year, so you can choose to add that on if you're interested. But really, it's just a fun way to close out the summer. It might help you, and I won't even say it might help you. I know it'll help you because I know that these tasks are beneficial to your health. I know that they can help support your energy, your focus, your mood. And hopefully they maybe shed light on areas that you could be investing in that maybe you hadn't been before. We focus on the primary areas around health, so nutrition, movement, sleep, hydration, stress management, and self-care. I'd love to be able to expand on that, but I also want it to be realistic for you to implement over the course of the 4 weeks. And it's really just a fun way to, invest in yourself, invest in your wellness in celebration of the month. So I'm just going to welcome you and invite you to join us if you haven't heard about this already, or you're contemplating it, or you forgot that I was offering it. Please feel free to head over to the show notes. I will put the information there, and if you register, I'll send you the information so you can dive in and get started. It's really flexible, and even if you decide, okay, August isn't for me, but I'm going to do it in September, that's cool too, right? It's very simple, straightforward. I lay it out for you. And I give you all the resources that you need, and I'm going to be doing it alongside those who are participating. So if you're interested, please feel free. The information's in the show notes. It also lives in my link tree. It's on Instagram. It's everywhere. So if at any point in time you decide you want to give it a go, please feel free to go ahead, and I will send over the information for you, the resources that you need, and I look forward to hearing how it goes for you. So on my end of things, I am very much looking forward to the fall. I know that there are people who are probably like, what are you talking about? It's still summer. Relax. I may have shared this in the last episode too, honestly, or I don't even remember. I feel like I've said this before. I just really love the fall, and I quickly kind of get over summer. I don't know, I like the warmth, and I'm sure in January I'll be saying I feel otherwise, but I'm just ready for fall and the coziness and the cool weather and the colors and pumpkin. Oh my goodness, don't even get me started on pumpkin. But while we are in the present moment, we are enjoying the present and being present with the present. I am officially enrolled in a Pilates certification program. So I'm going to get started on that in the upcoming weeks and hopefully move through that. And I'm really excited for it. Getting a formal training in anatomy and the human body is something that I have never personally done before. And there was a lot of me in years past that thought maybe I should go back to school and get these basic sciences out of the way, because if I want to pursue something in nutrition, I really would like to know more of this. Right? Anatomy, physiology, biology, things of that capacity, right? That I think most nutrition programs cover as kind of just gen ed classes. And I never covered any of these because none of my schooling required me to take it based on how I progressed through school. I was less science, more arts. And so I really didn't have, I even took I forget, it was like a biology class that was for like non-biology majors or non-science majors or something. So it was just basically like, we need to check this off of your list. So just take this class because it's just basic biology. So I really, felt kind of like I was missing a small fraction of really understanding the human body on a different level. Now, this is not to say that this program is going to do that for me. I'm not going to, have all these labs and address things on a deeper level, but I'm at least going to be able to have a more solid understanding of the human body than I did before. So I'm really, really excited to officially be enrolled again in school, which is something I love to be in school. And speaking of school, I think I mentioned this maybe last episode, but I'm also looking into a more advanced program to sharpen my toolbox a bit. And when I say a bit, I mean a lot. I have shared this before. I feel like sometimes I do hit a brick wall when it comes to working with clients in the way that I want, because what I'm qualified to do can only serve them to an extent. And so I'm really eager to invest in a way that I'm able to go deeper. And by deeper, I mean offer, administer testing to my clients, for my clients. As far as like functional labs go and functional testing, which is not something that you can get from a traditional primary care doctor either. So even if I work with some third party while working with clients, which I have before, a lot of the blood work is just very standard and, normal blood work that you would see and receive from your doctor. Maybe it's your annual checkup or whatever the case is. But taking it to a deeper level, functional labs includes looking at how the body's functioning, how our cells are functioning. And I feel like a lot of this is such important information for anyone to understand along their health journey. If you're listening to this episode, then you know that this past week's episode, or Tuesday's episode, this is a double episode week, I featured a functional health practitioner, and he spoke a lot on all the labs and the testing and how it differs from conventional healthcare. And this is an area that I am really eager to get into. It's just, as you can imagine, a financial investment as well as a time investment. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, right? And this is always how I am. I always get ahead of myself. So we're going to take things one step at a time, but that is the ultimate goal, is to be able to offer that and expand my work and my practice that goes beyond just surface level work, and goes deeper and is able to, look at things on a deeper, more cellular level, see how the GI is functioning, see how your hormones and your, HPA axis and all of these other factors that I myself can't see from the surface. Of course, neither can you, neither can anyone. It really requires that testing to go deeper. So that is something that's slowly but surely in the works. And when I say in the works, it's more I'm looking at different programs and really trying to figure out, okay, what is my strategy here? How am I going about this? What am I doing right now in my work? How can I fit that in? And, just kind of working out the logistics of it all. But ultimately, I know that that's the next step for me, or the next 10 steps for me, because of the direction that I'm going with my business and what I want to be able to offer. And where I stand now in relation to that, it's just going to take, some time and some, patience and all of that. So that is the future. But for right now, I am enrolled in a Pilates certification program, and I'm really excited for that. So stay tuned for more details on that. I've been committed to taking like 2 to 3 classes a week. I've been closely working with the Pilates studio owner, where, she and I have been kind of working together on perfecting my form and addressing problem areas and all questions I have, I present to her and whatnot. So it's been really great to have her as kind of guidance through this process. And now it's up to me to really invest in the program and start to apply it in my own practice too, right? Understanding what I'm learning in the course and then apply it to what I'm doing in class. She stopped me after class the other day and said, I'm really noticing an improvement. Like you're doing so much better. And that made me so happy, because that's just what you want to hear, right? When you're working hard on something and you're really invested, and in class, I'm really aware of what I'm doing and how I'm moving and what my body feels like and positions and form. And so I really, really was so excited to hear her share that, because that just goes to show that, hard work really does pay off. So more to come on that. And I can't wait to welcome you all to join me in class down the road. And I'll keep you updated on that. So let's talk about my 4x10 morning routine that I introduced, I would say maybe 3 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago. And I want to give you a little bit of an explanation as to why I'm incorporating it and invite you to join me in incorporating it and kind of give you an update on how things have been going. So if you don't know, which if you know me at all, then you probably know, I love my mornings. Mornings are so sacred to me. I am so inspired. I feel so good. I feel so ready. I feel so energized and productive. I wish the mornings could last all day long. Okay. I really do. I love the morning. And in the morning, I like to follow a certain routine, otherwise known as my morning routine. All right. This is nothing new. However, I have periods of life, which you can relate, where I either am not as committed, I'm not as disciplined with it, it's a little scattered. I just don't devote enough time to really filling my cup before I start my day. And what's frustrating is the fact that I work for myself, and on days that I'm not working for myself, I don't go into work until mid-morning. So both days I really have, or both cases, I don't have any excuse to not really spend some time in the morning taking care of myself. I really have no reason, and I believe in it so much. I believe in it so strongly that this has such a profound influence on the rest of the day that for me to not take time in the morning is just plain silly, okay? I know how valuable it is, but your girl, she likes to work, and so sometimes her laptop opens and she's off to the races, and that's about it. But I have to remind myself, Emily, you have all day long to work. You have all day long to do this. Why don't you spend some time for yourself? So welcome the 4x10 morning routine. The 4x10 morning routine is very much what it sounds like, okay? 10 minutes of journaling, 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of reading, and 10 minutes of walking. Now, I usually achieve 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of these things in the morning as it is. Okay. But what I really wanted to start sharpening and start cultivating is consistency and really delegating that time in the morning to this alone. Really try to keep away from technology, really try to keep away from, doing work, and really focusing on this specific routine. Now I'll share. It's not always going to be 10 minutes of each. Maybe some mornings it's going to be 5 minutes of each. Okay, and that's fine too. But what I really intended here was to give myself some more structure so that I'm committing to this in a way that I haven't before. Now, I'll report on how it's been going. It's been rocky. Okay, I'll be honest, it has been rocky. I am doing these things, but for whatever reason, my brain is not allowing me to do them without negotiation. Okay, so I'll maybe do my walk, I'll maybe do my journaling and my reading, but for whatever reason, I delay the meditation till midday. Okay, and I really want to get into the flow of doing this consistently, no questions asked. Okay, so I guess I have to take back the word rocky because it hasn't been rocky. Like, I'm still doing it. It's just not as seamless as I really intended it to be. And there's no timeline on this. I'm just doing it and doing it and doing it. And with repetition and consistency, it will evolve and it will become something that's just organically in my routine. But it's just working out the resistance, working out the, what's getting in the way, where are the challenges, working out those things that will allow me to move past it. But I want to invite you to either cultivate your own morning routine, some sort of morning ritual, or join me with this one, because I think while it doesn't have to be 4x10, it can easily be 4x5, which I think for time purposes, it's certainly much more realistic. But for me, it was a combination of things that I know help me feel good, right? With meditation and breathing, it's really grounding and supportive of, stress management and my nervous system. Reading is just something that I have gotten into a whole lot in the past few years. And if I don't carve out time for it, I sometimes, put it on the back burner. So reading is really important. Journaling is huge. A lot of my journaling is gratitude journaling or just intentions for the day. And then walking. I get my morning sunlight. I get some steps in. Lou is out with me. So overall, it's mind, body, and soul here. Okay, I'm getting all of those right off the bat. Self-care for mind, body, and soul within the first hour of waking, and I think that is beautiful and nourishing. And I encourage you all to consider how this might be a part of your routine or start thinking about other areas that you could invest in to have a more, self-care fueling type of morning to start the day. Now, speaking of, National Wellness Month is here, right? So maybe this is the month that you experiment. Maybe this is the month that you explore, trial and error, see what works, see what doesn't, and use this as an opportunity to kind of cultivate that for yourself. And I think most importantly, don't expect for yourself to try one combination of actions or tasks or rituals and expect it to stick. Expect it to be the one, okay? Give yourself some time, give yourself some flexibility, but I invite you to join me for the 4x10 morning routine. This is ongoing, and it's been really great in the ways that it's worked. And I plan to continue to stick to it and really lean into it, and I hope that you will join me. So my life update portion of this episode is going to be shorter because I have a lot of what I'm loving lately, so I want to be sure I spend time there. But as far as the next few weeks go into August, I have a lot of family time happening. My dad is retiring this week after almost 40 years in business for himself as a produce company. And it's kind of wild because my whole life, this is what my dad has done. And I've seen him in this role, only in this role ever. And, it's really kind of crazy to think that this time of his life is coming to an end. And I had to pause there for a second because Lou was having a bad dream in the background. And so I needed to pause for a minute to give her a moment. But yeah, so after almost 40 years, he is retiring from his own business, and it's just a strange experience because this is all I've ever seen him do. My siblings and I have never seen my dad in any other role, and he's worked very hard for my family. So I'm excited for this next chapter for him. He's going to be spending a lot of his time fishing, which is his most favorite pastime ever. And so I'm excited for that for him. And that means I have more access to fresh fish, which I'm also looking forward to as well. So my sister's coming home to surprise him for that. My mom is coming with my brother. My younger brother's coming. So it'll be a nice get together to celebrate that chapter of his life coming to an end. And then I'm hopeful to get out to Michigan at some point this month to see my nieces and my brother-in-law. So that's in the works as well. Last year I drove out to Michigan. Lou came with me, and it's not that I wouldn't do that again. I think while I was doing it, I told myself I'll never do this again. It's not bad. I actually really enjoyed it. I listened to podcasts. I had Lou with me. I had my snacks. I really made the most of it, but it does take a lot of mental energy to commit to that 10-hour trip. And so I probably won't be making it this month. But maybe again down the line, especially because 80% of the reason why I decided to drive was because I could bring Lou with me. So that was really nice because she had a blast in Lake Michigan and whatnot. But for this time around, I'll probably do a quick trip and fly. So that is tentative. We'll see if that works out. And before I move on, I completely forgot. This month, I am going to see a holistic dentist. At the end of the month, I have an appointment. I scheduled this appointment probably in March or April. That's how far out they were booking. And I am so excited for this. They explained to me what the initial consult would look like, and it's very thorough, as you can imagine, with any kind of functional or holistic wellness type of practice or type of practitioner you're going to find. It's very thorough. And they have an in-house oral nutritionist. They are going to do an exam on my teeth, on my gums. I mean, very thorough, and I'm very excited for this process. And this is something that I've been meaning to do for a while. And so I'm going to detail all of it on Instagram and probably on the podcast as well. Maybe even invite the dentist onto the podcast. Should I do that? Maybe I'll do that. Honestly, I don't know if I just thought of that right now, but how cool would that be, right? To get kind of firsthand exposure to, what this doctor has to say, or what this dentist rather has to say. But I'm super excited. I'm really, really excited. I spent a lot of time seeing my primary care doctor and seeing my dentist after I, started to align differently in terms of my belief system around health and as it relates to dental care, around toxins and around, what we should know about what we should be eating for our oral health. I mean, just our oral microbiome as it is, the relationship that has with our gut health and our whole body health. That's not something you're going to get from your traditional dental care, right? You're just not going to get that kind of support, as you wouldn't get that type of support with your primary care doctor who aligns with more of Western healthcare, right? So I just decided to take this step for myself, and I'm so excited. So that is coming at the end of August, and I will likely detail that on next month's, on September's episode of Let's Eat Family Dinner. So stay tuned for that, and then I'll definitely share updates on Instagram in real time while it's all happening. But yeah, looking forward to that so much. Okay, so let's dive into what I'm loving, because you guys, I'm loving lots of different things. As of lately, I'm in a good mood today, and I want to share all the wonderful things as to why and what I've been doing lately, and I'm just really excited. So let's start with mouth taping. So I started mouth taping, I want to say probably 2 weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago. And it's exactly what it sounds like. For those of you who are not familiar, you're essentially taping your mouth shut while you sleep. Now, it took me a while to warm up to this idea because it just kind of freaked me out. It felt very claustrophobic. It felt very restrictive. And it's not like that at all, okay? Basically, you're taping your mouth shut because, to put it simply, you're encouraging your breath through your nose versus through your mouth, right? Because as you know, when you're not aware, when you're sleeping, you're breathing however you're breathing, right? You can't decide in the midst of your sleep, oh, I'm going to breathe more through my nose, I'm going to breathe more through my mouth, right? So regardless of what that looks like for you, you're essentially forcing yourself to breathe through your nose by process of elimination, okay? If we're putting it in basic terms. But the benefits of this, okay, the benefits of breathing through your nose include both oral benefits, okay, so what's going on in your mouth while you sleep, but then also whole body health benefits. The reason that I found so much interest in it is because when we're breathing out of our mouth, this is typically a much shorter chest-based breath. And if you know what I've shared on before about how important it is for us to get those deep diaphragmatic breaths in order to support your nervous system. And while it is certainly more convenient and easier for us, especially in the midst of our day-to-day, to just breathe shorter breaths through our chest, right, in order to have conversations, in order to walk, in order to do anything, right? If you were to constantly breathe from your diaphragm, from your torso, it would be very inconvenient, okay? But what is happening here is if you're forcing your breath through your nose, this is going to help support your nervous system, your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight, versus your parasympathetic nervous system. And as a result of that, it can really impact anxiety. It can really impact how you feel in that capacity, right? And so for me personally, whatever I can do to help kind of decrease that baseline for me throughout the day, and if it means taping my mouth shut at night to help support this process while I sleep, then I'm in, right? Anything we can do to help support stress and anxiety, especially in the midst of our modern world, I'm going to do it, right? So alongside that, which is the primary benefit that I personally wanted to investigate, It also is really beneficial for your oral health. Like I said before, your gut health and digestion. Nose breathing actually helps your body to produce more nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is essential for healthy circulation, healthy blood pressure, inflammation. It has been found to support a healthier immune system. So overall, there's just a number of benefits that can come along with practicing this. And like I said, if you are not uncomfortable by it and you adjust to it, it is something that you're doing anyways, so you might as well habit stack. Okay, that's actually something I'm going to be talking about today, coincidentally. So you can buy mouth tape really anywhere. Don't feel like you have to go get these fancy mouth tapes that exist now that I think are really trendy or aesthetically pleasing. I mean, I would say you could literally put Scotch tape on your mouth, but that's probably not the most comfortable option. I also don't think you should be putting Scotch tape on your lips, because I learned you absorb 40% of what you put on your lips, or you consume 40% of what you put on your lips. So I wouldn't suggest putting Scotch tape on your face, but I will put the link to the ones I chose in the show notes. They are super comfortable. You can wear them one of two ways, whatever you're comfortable with, and I've really enjoyed it. And they're cost effective. They get, you can buy a pack of like 48, so that'll last you a while. It'll last you for 48 sleeps, okay? And I've really enjoyed it. So I'm going to continue doing it. And as I continue to do it, I'll let you know any other benefits I've noticed as a result of doing it. So this was the perfect transition and segue into what I'm loving lately. And this is not something that's new to me necessarily, but it might be new to you. But I'm finding it to be such an effective hack for productivity and doing things that I maybe have resistance towards doing. And I'll give the example as what I'm referring to. So habit stacking, okay? We know all about habits and the importance of habits. That is one of the pillars to the work that I do, is working with clients on establishing habits and creating habits and understanding the science behind a habit and more, okay? But when it comes to habit stacking is essentially taking a habit that already exists and pairing it with something maybe new that you are trying to incorporate and consistently do, or, just as far as like time effectiveness and, getting things done, right? I don't necessarily believe in multitasking. I just listened to this on an audiobook saying that multitasking is essentially BS. Like, there are some people in this world, I forget what he called them, but they can do a lot at the same time and they can successfully multitask, but not many people can, and it actually reduces your rate of productivity when you try to multitask. But something I was doing yesterday, and I have been doing periodically, but now I really want to do more regularly, is meditate while I have my red light mask on and teeth whitening strips in. This is something that I did yesterday, and it felt so good, okay? Because I'm doing all of these things that really don't require, anything else. And I can sit there and I'm already going to be not drinking or eating anything, which is typically my issue when it comes to teeth whitening strips. Is I'm always drinking something, which, by the way, I'm filming what I drink in a day today. So that will be out this week. But I'm always drinking something or eating something. So I can never do these strips. So I'll either do it while I'm on a walk, also habit stacking, or while I'm meditating. Okay. And then also I wear my red light therapy mask, which I've shared a little bit about this, but I bought this on Black Friday last November and I've been using it pretty consistently. I kind of fall off from time to time, but I've been trying to be very consistent with it. And that's really helpful for skin health, for aging, for scarring, and all that. And it was great, right? Because I knocked out 3 birds with 1 stone in 10 minutes and I was able to move on with my day. This is one of the best things that you can do to incorporate a new habit or to get things done, okay? It's about pairing something that you were already doing with something new you're trying to incorporate, pairing something that you enjoy doing with something you don't enjoy doing. And that is one of the best ways to get things done, okay? If I want to watch my Netflix show, I can do it while I'm on my walking pad. Maybe you don't really want to be on your walking pad, okay? Something like that. But pairing your day in ways that allows you to invest more in your health or just from a productivity standpoint, get things done, I am all for it. I had a castor oil pack on this morning, which I can speak on more. I won't speak on it today, but I'll share more about this in the coming weeks. While what was I doing? I was emptying my dishwasher, I think. Something of that nature, okay? These are ways for you to just pair your already existing habits with things that you can check off your list or with things that you're trying to incorporate or you feel like you're having trouble incorporating. One of the simplest examples I always give is practicing positive affirmations while you're brushing your teeth. We know that you're going to be brushing your teeth at some point in the day. I hope so. So if you just organically incorporate those affirmations as part of your oral hygiene routine, then you're going to incorporate them every single day routinely, so long as you set a reminder, you remember to do it and more, right? So habit stacking, I just feel like has really changed the game for me and what I'm trying to accomplish in my life and my health and my goals, but I just wanted to shed some light on it again because I love it. I'm actually starting a book that has been on my to-read list for a long time, which I went a little bit too crazy with Amazon Prime Day and bought way too many books. And I'm justifying them as being continuing education and personal development. I'm like, well, these are good for me as a health coach and an entrepreneur, because that's typically the areas of books that I focus on, the genres of books that I focus on. So we're working our way through that. But the issue is I have a lot of books that I should already be reading and I bought new ones. So that's the problem. But anyways, the science of a habit or power of a habit, some whatever habit based book. It's not the Atomic Habits because I've read that a couple times. It's another habit book. I linked it in my Amazon storefront. All the books that I bought, I linked in my storefront. So you can go look at there. But I'm really excited to dive into that to really enhance my understanding of habit development because I'm telling you, this is a primary area of the work that I do, and it's so effective. I can speak from experience. I can speak from the work I do with clients. So important. So any areas that you can habit stack, go get them. Something else that I didn't plan on sharing also for today was just my love for Sundays. I love Sunday. It is currently Sunday. I'm still sipping on my second matcha. I sat outside and read for about an hour. I had my morning routine. I went grocery shopping. There are some Sundays where I can't do this or I have to go into work, but Sundays have become my sacred day to really just do what I want to do. And don't get me wrong, I still am working on Sundays, some days, most Sundays, I'll say, but I love what I do. I really love what I do, so I really don't consider it work, but Sundays are just my favorite. So I hope you have a day in your week that you can say the same, that you're like, yes, I love this day, because I work on Saturdays. For those of you who don't know, I work as a bartender, so I work till 5 on Saturdays. So Saturdays are typically just off limits, right? Like I have time in the morning, but the day is typically gone because I have to work. So on Sundays, having this time is so valuable to me. And I really don't want to do anything but be at home. I record podcasts, I clean, I grocery shop, I meal prep, I read, I work out or I don't work out, depending on the day. You know, I take Lou for walks. I mean, it is my reset. It's my cherished day of the week. And I'm so grateful for my Sundays. So I just wanted to put that in there because I am also loving that as well. Something else that I've really, really been loving is iced herbal tea. Now, I am the biggest tea drinker in the colder months. If you followed me through October to March of this past year, your girl was drinking herbal tea like it was my job. I literally was drinking herbal tea all the time. I love traditional medicinals. I'm really very specific in terms of what type of tea I buy, which disclaimer, as should you. Okay, really understanding, is my tea organic or non-organic? Always opt for organic if possible. How is my tea packaged? Understanding what your tea is packaged in, what's going into the hot water in order to make the tea. All of these things are really important to consider when it comes to your tea. So Peak is one of my favorites. Traditional medicinals is another one of my favorites. And more recently, I had the pleasure of interviewing Lindsay Etematapor. I want to be sure I say her name correctly. She is the founder of Simbi, And I've been following her for years, so it was a total fangirl moment. This episode's going to air at the end of August, so stay tuned for that. But she founded Simbi, and she was so generous to send me a bunch of products from the brand. And so I've been batching this tea for the week. And there was one that she sent me that's an anti-inflammatory tea, which I'm going to batch today. She sent me their daily hydration tea, and then Cycle Harmony tea, which is more specific to supporting a healthy cycle and so forth. And I have been loving it so much. It's such a fun way to support the body, number one, but it's also so refreshing, especially in the midst of a heat wave. And I'm really excited. She kind of got me back into herbal tea because after I stopped drinking hot tea, I just kind of let the whole tea gig up. I just decided, okay, I'll see you again in October. And I forget I can make iced tea by steeping hot tea and then refrigerating it and pouring over ice. So I'm really excited because she's got me back into it, and her teas are great. I will link Simbi in the show notes for you to check them out. And I'm just a big fan of tea as it is, as a way to support the body, support your liver, support inflammation. I mean, tea is a really powerful tool. So highly recommend you to look into different types of tea for whatever it is that you're navigating or general body support. Personally, my favorites, if I'm going to give you some favorites from traditional medicinals or Peak, I love my matcha. So I have my matcha. I just had to take a deep breath. I've said this before. You guys, like, your girl, oh my God, when I start talking and I don't stop, I feel this like tightness in my chest where I'm like, Emily, you're like, you need to come up for air for like 2 seconds. Okay, so here I am coming up for air. But Peak, and speaking of breath, right, here I am saying we should be taking more deep breaths, and I'm like over here like gasping for air. Peak, I love matcha. Okay, love their matcha. Their whole company is great. I really love what they're doing. It's clean tea, it's organic, it's highest quality. Definitely recommend checking them out. But traditional medicinals is typically more accessible because you can find that at Wegmans, you can find it at ShopRite. And I love their peppermint tea. I love their dandelion root tea. I love their sleepy time tea. That's probably my favorite, which I do miss so much. They have so many options, and I love them. So I'm excited for tea season to come back. I live for my evening cup of tea. I actually had peppermint tea the other day, and it brought me back. I was like, oh my God, this tastes like being in front of my fireplace and watching football or something and having it after dinner or whatever, like just being in those moments when it's cold and. So definitely recommend herbal tea. Add it to your routine. It's cozy, it's refreshing, however you have it, and it's good for the body. I know I shared this before, but my 4x10 morning routine, I'll say again, just love a good morning routine, okay? I just love it, and I am certain that if you start to infuse your mornings with actions or tasks or rituals that fill your cup, your day will be so much better as a result of it. I know that not everyone can afford all this time in the morning, and I'm never ever expecting anyone to feel that they have to dedicate all this time, especially when kids are in the mix and there's a lot going on. But if you can even just set aside 5, 10, 15 minutes to yourself to envision the day you want to have, to set intentions, to move your body, to take a deep breath, to do something to help you center, to get going for the day, then do it. Please do it. Please try and look at your day. How can I make this happen? How can I make this a priority and non-negotiable? Because I'm telling you, it will make a huge difference, and your health as a result of it will improve too. I'm telling you, just from a stress management perspective, at the least, what it's doing for you to stop and just be for a short amount of time is profound. But whatever the actions you decide to take is also going to impact certain areas of your health and then how you feel throughout the day. Okay, so take this as my reminder or message of encouragement to really invest in your mornings and see how much your life changes. I also just finished up the book, which is wild because I literally started it yesterday. It was a slow day at work yesterday, so your girl was reading, and I finished reading The Glucose Revolution. It's an easy read, and there's a lot of graphics, so that's probably why I read it so fast. I mean, still 200 or something pages, okay? So I did, power through it, but it's all about glucose and blood sugar, and it is broken down so easily for anyone to understand. If you know me at all, you know I'm always talking about blood sugar, metabolic health, and the relationship between our blood sugar and other diseases, okay? And this includes cancer, heart disease, any other chronic illness, to be expected, diabetes, mental health issues, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia, which Alzheimer's has now been considered type 3 diabetes because of the connection that's there. So if you're looking for a read to understand glucose and insulin and metabolic health a little bit better, The Glucose Revolution, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the author's last name because it's French, I believe, and I cannot pronounce it. But just look up The Glucose Revolution. I'm telling you, it is such a good read. This book, in tandem with Good Energy by Dr. Casey Means, I literally will not shut up about that book. I love it. Go read that too. Okay, if you need 2 books, go read those books. Those are so powerful. I think not only will they help you, but they could potentially help someone that you know. If you know someone who's navigating any of the diseases I just listed, or you know somebody who's dealing with obesity or difficulty with weight loss, all of this is connected, and such a big part of my work is centered on these pillars of health. Makes a huge difference in how we feel and our health in the immediate term and our health in the long term. So go ahead, take a look. And just as a reminder, all the books that I read are linked on my Amazon storefront. So I am a reading machine. I go through books and I read a lot of books at one time, and I just love to read. I love to consume. It's, I guess, a blessing and a curse, but I really really love learning and applying the information that I learn. So all of that is on my Amazon storefront. It is probably the largest category on there, or my books. But please feel free to take a look or take a listen if you're an audiobook person, because it's such an important topic, and upcoming episodes I'm going to be diving into this deeper. So even if you're not a reader, just stay tuned, because the podcast is going to cover a lot of this blood sugar specific info so that you can start applying it to your life as soon as today, as soon as tomorrow, because of how valuable and how much of an impact it can have across the board. So let's dive into the Q&A portion of this episode. Okay, there's a couple things I want to cover. Like I said before, these are questions coming from clients, from DMs, from different avenues over the course of the past several weeks, and I kind of combine them to deliver you answers so that you can get clarity on maybe topics you were thinking about, or maybe you have questions about in the future, and so forth. So we're going to talk firstly about creatine. I had a client ask me about creatine. I myself am in the midst of incorporating creatine, and I want to kind of talk about it because I think when we think of creatine, we think of men in the gym who are hot and sweaty and muscle mass and bodybuilding and all of that, right? But what we don't realize is there's a number of benefits that come along with creatine outside of just this specific image that I just listed. And actually for women, some experts and some individuals say it's one of the best things that we can be supplementing with. Okay, so to kind of get started, creatine is an amino acid, all right, and it can be obtained through diet, but the amount that you're getting from a supplement is much more effective in delivering the benefits that most people are looking for when taking creatine. So like I said, most people know creatine is used when we are physically active, and it basically helps to promote and support energy supply to our muscle tissues. Okay, so you can imagine this is going to aid in muscle development, in your athletic performance, which is likely what most people kind of lump creatine in with, right? It's about developing muscle. It's about your physical activity. That's why you take creatine in tandem with activity and whatnot. But when it comes to cognition and brain health, there's actually research to suggest that it helps support executive function. It also increases BDNF, which this is so cool. BDNF is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Okay, and this has to do with the realm of neuroplasticity. And in neuroplasticity, we know that the brain is actually malleable. Dr. Drew Ramsey, who is a nutritional psychiatrist that I really like, he refers to BDNF as miracle grow for the brain, because essentially it's supporting this process of developing new neural pathways and strengthening certain neural pathways and just promoting health of the brain, which so many of us need, especially with the rates as mentioned of Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, just general cognitive decline and so forth. So that, I think, for me personally is just a really cool benefit. And what's also fascinating, and this is something I really didn't know, was creatine is one of the most widely studied supplements. Okay, so there's a lot of research there, but how many of us actually know about these benefits, right? So not only is it beneficial for athletic performance and cognition, but it's also beneficial for the aging process, which is why it's recommended for people in their later decades in tandem with their strength training or their, exercise routine to just help slow the progression of age-related muscle loss, which we know starts as early as our 30s. Okay. And then there's also some research that suggests that creatine is helpful for blood sugar regulation, which is a big, big, big piece of my work, is working on this area of one's health metabolically and supporting, healthy glucose levels and so forth. So overall, creatine is a pretty interesting, I think, under-considered supplement that actually has quite an array of benefits outside of just its relationship with physical activity. So, like I mentioned, a client of mine has started incorporating 5 milligrams of creatine monohydrate, which is the form of creatine that you want to be sure that you choose. And that was why the question was prompted. She heard a little bit more about the benefits of it. And so I wanted to be sure I touched on this a little bit. But as usual, please always consult a doctor before incorporating anything new into your routine. That's really, really important, that you're not just starting something because you heard about it or you learned about it or whatever the case is. You got to be sure that it's right for you. Do I think that creatine is a first supplement that we should all be reaching for before others? Absolutely not. There's a lot of other nutritional supplements that I think are more valuable than incorporating something like this, but could be something to add to your routine. I myself have a creatine supplement by Symbiotica as well as a creatine supplement by Sun Warrior, both in my pantry that I'm slowly incorporating. It's really just a matter of remembering to incorporate it, but I will also report back once I take it more regularly, because I really want to be sure I'm taking care of my muscles as I'm going through my training, and how important it is for me to be on top of my recovery and supporting my body, because now I'm exercising for something that's more than just my own personal health. I want to be sure that I'm ready to rock and taking care of myself in the best way that I can. So this is one way I've considered to do that, and I'll let you know all about the experience and so forth. But those are 2 brands that you could take a look at. Okay, we're now going to rapid fire through a conversation around the different forms of magnesium. I had another client ask me, I'm taking magnesium glycinate, but I saw you were taking magnesium L-threonate. So what's the difference there? Can you explain that and more? Okay, so when it comes to magnesium, if you're new to magnesium, because magnesium seems to be a massive trend all over social media, which, don't get me wrong, it's getting the exposure that it deserves, but I don't think that we're going about it intentionally enough to be sure that we're going about it in the best way, the most effective way. When it comes to magnesium, you want to be sure that you're choosing the form of magnesium that's best for what it is that you're trying to achieve. Now, for me personally, magnesium glycinate, okay, it's a combination of magnesium and the amino acid glycine. This is one of the most highly absorbable forms of magnesium. Okay, it's also been found to have calming properties. So I personally have magnesium glycinate in my pantry as well as magnesium L-threonate. Okay, I recommend magnesium glycinate for general magnesium supplementation. Now, you could also take a magnesium supplement that's a combination of different forms of magnesium, but this, for me personally, for the benefits that my clients are looking for, oftentimes it's for supporting relaxation or sleep quality. This is something that I suggest for clients as just a blanket generalized suggestion. This form specifically because of its ability to be absorbed within the body. Okay, so I want to put that out there because that's important. And that's the one that I recommend most often. Magnesium L-threonate, on the other hand, is a combination of magnesium with threonic acid. And the reason that I like magnesium L-threonate, number one, this is the type of delivery that we know as liposomal delivery from the specific supplement that I'm taking, which is by Symbiotica. You can find the information for Symbiotica and a discount code in the show notes. But the reason I prefer this one is because of the way it's absorbed within the body, and it is the form of magnesium that best crosses the blood-brain barrier. Okay, and when it comes to our brain health and supporting focus, learning, and so forth, right? So there's a variety of different ways that you can approach this based on your needs, and that's what's most important. I think that looking at magnesium, generally speaking, most of us are deficient in it. However, you want to be really meticulous about what you're choosing and for why, and I choose to have both of those in my pantry for the benefits that they bring, and just because, honestly, their absorbability is superior. So then there's magnesium citrate, and this is the form of magnesium that is bound with citric acid. This one I have found is most commonly used for constipation because it promotes more of like a laxative effect. So that would be my suggestion for anyone who's dealing with issues with regularity or constipation of any kind. Now, I'm always going to be the one to suggest, look at the deeper issue, right? Why is this the case? But for what is needed in the interim, this can be a good option. Then there's magnesium oxide. All right, and this has also been found to support constipation, and it also has been found to support heartburn and indigestion, so issues, around your digestive system. But what is important to note is it's not suitable for general use or for just addressing magnesium levels because it doesn't have the best absorption. Okay, absorption is really, really important. Then there's magnesium chloride. Okay. And this is one that's used typically topically. I'm pretty sure the magnesium spray that I have is magnesium chloride. That's by Symbiotica as well. But you can also consume it. It's also an oral form of magnesium. Then there's magnesium malate, which helps support energy production and muscle function or muscle pain. Magnesium sulfate is one that you'll probably commonly see in your bath salt. Okay, so if you have like a magnesium soak that you add to your bathtub, this is oftentimes used there, and that's great for muscle soreness, right? It's one that you soak in. Magnesium taurate helps support cardiovascular health and heart function, and there are a few others as well. Okay, so there are a number of different forms of magnesium. It's really important that you know this, but not so much that you have to know each individual benefit per se, but I would just encourage you, if you are purchasing magnesium for yourself, I have a couple brands that I can recommend, and I can link them in the show notes, but just for your sake, understanding, okay, when I look at the label on the back, what form of magnesium is this? Now, some have a couple different forms of magnesium, and that's great, right? Because usually the formulation is meant for a specific issue, but I want you to just really educate yourself on understanding the different forms if you're someone who is looking to incorporate magnesium in any way, because some are better than others for certain issues, okay, and absorbability speaking and all that. So my last topic of conversation has to do with my homemade juice, because you all know I love my juice. This week I'm actually doing beet, carrot, I have red cabbage that I need to use, ginger, lemon, and apple. Switching it up from my usual green juice. I just really prefer my green juice, but I thought let's switch it up a little and try something new. So we're doing that this week. But someone asked me, do you batch for the week and make juice for the whole week, or do you make it every day as you drink it? Now, I am not going to tell you not to batch because it is a pain. It is a pain to put together the juicer and then clean the juicer and then break it down and then clean it. And it, I know how much of a headache that can be. However, I do want to share with you, the nutrients do begin to break down in your juice, which makes it less nutritious in comparison to having it first upon juicing and then waiting a couple days. Okay. Now, that's not to say that you're suddenly going to lose all of the benefits, but I would suggest, if you can, to juice and drink as close together as possible to avoid that degradation of the nutrition that's from the plants that are in the juice, because of the fact that you're doing it for a reason, right? You want to juice for the sake of, the benefits it's bringing the body. And if you wait too long, it can change the nutritional density of the juice itself. Now, this is due to exposure to oxygen. Okay, so if you store your juice in a glass container, an airtight container, I've even read that if you store it with as much of the container filled so that there's a lesser amount of oxygen in the container, that's even better. Okay, but just as a general suggestion, I am proud of you for juicing as it is. So I don't want you to get too caught up about this or too stressed about it, but it will lose its nutritional value over the course of time. So I do suggest, even if you juice for, say, 1 to 2 days, maybe 3 days, as opposed to a whole week of juice, I would also suggest doing that over juicing for like 7 days. Okay, fresh juice is superior, and then trying to, juice and consume as close to each other as possible. That's what I'm going to suggest. My juicer is linked on my storefront for anyone who's interested. It is ultra affordable and it does the job. Okay, I'm not looking for anything fancy. I don't need anything fancy. I just want a juicer that does the job, and it does the job. So that is linked on my storefront. What you can also do if you don't want to buy a juicer, you can, which is what I did for years. I'll give you the hack. You put your produce in your blender, whatever produce you choose, add filtered water to it, cold filter water, blend. Okay, blend as much as you can. I would say like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes if you can. Blend it up. Be sure it's ultra blended. Get yourself a nut milk bag. I like the brand Ellie's Best. I worked with Ellie's Best for a little while. I have been a consumer of their products for many years. Ellie's Best, really affordable. You can find them on Amazon. Get yourself a nut milk bag and strain the mixture, the pulp, through the nut milk bag. And then you have yourself some makeshift juice. Okay, so you could do that, or you can do, purchasing a juicer and whatnot. But both ways still give you some juice to some extent. They're going to differ a little bit, right? Because it's not pressed necessarily through the blender method, but it's still a way to go about it. And then I'm still working on learning how to recycle the fiber that you're taking from the plants, because you're extracting the nutrition and keeping that fiber. So I'm really trying to figure out how to incorporate that so I'm not wasting, but also taking advantage of the benefit of those plants, because when I do juice, I'm buying produce enough to eat, but then I'm also buying produce to juice, right? So I'm buying twice as much produce. And even though it makes my soul and my heart and my body happy, your girl can't be buying all this produce, okay? You gotta chill. So I gotta make use of it somehow. I'm still working on that. But I just want to put that out there because that's an important tip when it comes to juicing. So this is where we're going to wrap up for today. I so appreciate you tuning in and joining me on another episode of Let's Eat Family Dinner. I hope you learned a little bit. I hope maybe some of your questions may have been answered. And like I said, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to direct message me. My email's in the show notes. Reach out to me in whatever format you so choose and ask your question. I will not only answer the question for you and get back to you in that way, but I also will bring it to the podcast and expand on it a little bit more, especially because it's probably helping someone else in the meantime. But I hope you all have a wonderful month of August. National Wellness Month is a time to invest in your health. You know how I feel. I feel that any time of the year is a time to invest in your health, but especially during National Wellness Month. And like I said in the beginning, if you want to join the challenge, there's still time for you to do that. So please feel free. I'll put the link in the show notes. Submit your information. I will send you the resources that you need, and then you can get started. If you have questions for me, let me know. But I hope you enjoy the remainder of your summer, and I look forward to my next episode of Let's Eat Family Dinner coming in September. September, can you believe that? And this month's lineup for podcast, I'm so excited. I have guests. I have solo episodes, topics that are so important. You guys, I love this platform. I love podcasting. I love sharing. I love interviewing guests and talking with guests. It's just been such a pleasure, and it really sets my soul on fire. So thank you again for being here. And as always, in the meantime, be well.